Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. It is me, Allie. Today I have a very raw, open, honest Q&A video for you guys. I asked you to send me some questions on Instagram, and I also compiled a list of some previous questions that I have received in the past. So I figured today would just be a sit down, casual, comfy Q&A type of video. I feel like this video is going to be quite lengthy per the usual, so I'm going to cut this intro short and we're just going to jump right on into the questions. Okay, question number one. Question number one asks, how are you feeling in your third trimester? I am feeling good in my third trimester. I would not say that I'm feeling great in my third trimester. I feel like this entire pregnancy I have felt great. This pregnancy has been such a blessing. I have had the best experience being pregnant this time around. Mentally, physically, emotionally, it has been a great ride. Whereas my first pregnancy, when I was pregnant with our son Landon, I did not feel great. I did not even feel good for pretty much the majority of the entire pregnancy. I didn't feel good mentally. I didn't feel good physically. I didn't feel good emotionally. So this pregnancy is very different for me because I just feel really amazing. However, the third trimester, it really tries you for real. I am super uncomfortable. I am not sleeping well at all. I just feel like I am tossing and turning. Like I will go to sleep and I can sleep. However, I am waking up like every hour to go to the bathroom and pee. I have to keep switching sides because I get this terrible pain down the left side of my leg and like where my hip is. I'm just feeling very uncomfortable to put it nicely. I feel like I'm getting like a lot of aches this entire pregnancy. I've been working out. I've been working out like 4 to 5 times a week. I'm not doing that as much now in the third trimester, and it's not really affecting my mental, thank goodness, but I definitely feel a little bit more sluggish and I don't feel as energetic. I just physically can't do what I was doing in the first trimester and the second trimester. Now being into the third trimester, like mentally I'm slightly anxious about what is to come, which is pretty typical for parents to be. Like your whole world is going to change again, and I've definitely been thinking about that a lot. All of my doctor's appointments have gone beautifully and I am so blessed for that. The only thing that has just been a little heavy on my heart lately, I had an appointment on Wednesday and I found out that the baby is breech right now, which of course is just very heavy on my mind, and it just keeps like showing up in my mind and thinking about it, and it's living there right now. I am currently just a little over 32 weeks and my midwife said she's not super concerned about that until 36 weeks. The baby still has 4 weeks to kind of get into position, but if the baby is still breech at 36 weeks, we'll have to talk about some options. I can go see a specialist where they will like physically try to put the baby in place, and if that is not an option that I want or an option that works, we can just go from there. So I still have 4 weeks until we really have to cross that bridge, but it is definitely something that has been weighing pretty heavy on my heart. Overall, I'm feeling good. I'm not feeling bad. I'm not feeling great. I'm feeling third trimester. Third trimester has a whole slew of symptoms that it throws at you, and I feel like slowly but surely I'm getting some of those symptoms. Question number 2. What are you most nervous about when it comes to postpartum? And I promise this entire Q&A is not pregnancy / mom related. There are a bunch of questions as well that have nothing to do with pregnancy and nothing to do with being a mom, but these first 2 just happen to be pregnancy related. The thing that I am the most nervous about for postpartum is the fact that you have no control over your body, and that scares the shit out of me. I apologize for swearing. It is not something that I do on my channel quite often, but it has to be said. It scares the shit out of me that you have no control over your body when it comes to postpartum anxiety and postpartum depression. You have no control over it. I went through, again, I apologize for swearing, but I feel like it is justified when it comes to postpartum depression and postpartum anxiety. I went through some shit, some serious shit after I had Landon, and it was probably the hardest thing I've ever gone through in my entire life. You are a new mom, you are trying to navigate through everything, and then on top of that, your mind, body, and soul is like, hey, I'm gonna throw some postpartum depression on you. Just throw that on there for a couple of months and we'll see how you deal with it. And it was brutal. It was so hard. I don't even want to like think about it, because it was the hardest thing I've ever been through in my entire life. I feel like not enough people talk about it, and I think that that is one of the beautiful things about social media. Pre-social media, I just feel like it was never talked about, and you always just felt like alone. And now that social media is a thing, I feel like so many more people are being open and honest about going through those postpartum struggles, and I just think it really helps people who are going through it have safety in numbers. I can't tell you how many articles and blog posts and videos and everything that I watched when I was going through my struggle of postpartum depression and postpartum anxiety, and some of them were not as helpful as others, but others just made me feel like I was not alone, and it just really helped me to navigate through what I was going through. So I'm just really nervous for postpartum anxiety or depression, because I have zero control over that. I just feel like I'm in a place right now where I am so happy. I am in probably one of the best places of my life recently, and I'm just so nervous to have that taken away if I get hit with postpartum depression or postpartum anxiety again. So that is something that I am pretty nervous about. I'm trying not to think too much about it, but it is something that again is pretty heavy on my heart, because I just don't have control over it. If it happens, it happens, and I'm gonna have to try to figure it out again. But I'm just praying, I literally pray every single day that I don't go through that struggle again. One thing that I think is going to help me, and I'm not like a scientist or a nutritionist, or I'm not like a nurse or anything, because nobody has control over your body, it just happens. But I think a big struggle for me when I went through my postpartum depression had to do with breastfeeding. And I know I've talked about this a million times on my channel before, but we decided not to breastfeed this time around. We're going to formula feed from the start. If you know, you know, my breastfeeding journey was not ideal, to say the least. So I'm hoping with eliminating breastfeeding from my postpartum journey, it might help me to be in somewhat of a better state, because in my personal opinion, I think 99.5% of my postpartum depression and anxiety came from breastfeeding. This next question, it hits kind of hard. So many teachers are resigning. Do you think you'll end your career as a teacher, or are you looking to leave as well? This question hits such a chord with me, because if you guys know me but at all, you know that I absolutely love my job as a teacher. If you guys are new here, I am a 5th grade special education teacher. I teach in an inclusion classroom, so we have regular ed kids in the classroom, special ed kids in the classroom, and we just kind of work with all of them. I will provide accommodations and modifications. I don't work just with the special ed kids, I work with the regular ed kids. Everybody is just working together, but I provide more like interventions for students who are on my caseload. I have been a teacher, this is my 12th year teaching, and again, if you know me but at all, I absolutely love my job as an educator. I look forward to it every single day, just being in the classroom with my students. And if it was just for me being in the classroom teaching with my students, I would probably teach until I was like 85, 90. I just really get joy out of doing this job. However, this job has changed so much in the past 4 or 5 years that I don't even have a notebook with enough paper to write a list that long. And if you guys are educators watching this as well, maybe you will agree with me, but I just feel like teaching as a whole has changed so much. It has become so political. I just feel like teaching has become so not about the students anymore or the teachers, but more about like the standards and reaching goals and data, and it's not as enjoyable. I'll be quite honest with you, it is not as enjoyable these past couple of years. It has really left a bad taste in my mouth and a lot of my colleagues' mouth. I can just tell you from personal experience, just being in a school district and being in a classroom and being in that environment, that the culture and the climate is just so low right now, and that has nothing to do with the students. It has nothing to do with teaching, because if we were just allowed to be in our classroom and educate our students and be creative and have fun with our class, I don't think any teachers would be resigning. But I did read this article the other day about teachers resigning, and the percentage of teachers who have resigned in the last 2 years is astronomical. I can't remember off the top of my head, so I'm not going to like give false information. But the amount of teachers who have been teaching for years have resigned in the last 2 years, along with teachers who just started out like fresh out of college, starting a career, and within like 2 years they decided it wasn't for them, because it's just not about teaching anymore. And it is so sad to say that. It is just so political. There's just so many people who are not educators, who have never been in the classroom a day in their life, that are coming in and telling us what to do and how to do it. And it is just, it's overwhelming to say the least, but it's also very disheartening. I just feel like we have turned into, not so much a punching bag, I hate saying it that way, but I just feel like teachers have turned into dumping grounds. It's, this is what you need to do, this is how you have to do it, and this is the time span that we're going to give to you to do it. And it is just, it's very disheartening. I just, again, the climate and the culture, it's not. And I hate saying that. So when it comes to teaching, I don't plan on leaving the field anytime soon. I actually don't plan on leaving the field at all. I do plan on retiring in the education field. I just don't know if it's going to be as a teacher. I've said this once and I will say it again. I've always talked about when I decide my YouTube career is over and when I am done with YouTube and social media as a whole, I really want to go back to school and get my master's. And I want to get my master's in either counseling or psychology. And I want to do that like school-based. I want to be a school-based psychologist or a school-based counselor. That is where I see myself probably ending my career. I definitely see myself in the classroom for many more moons, but I don't know if it continues like this. It's really sad right now. Like, I wish we would just have the freedom to go into our classroom and just teach, just be with our students. Like, that's what they need. Students don't need standard-based this and standard-based that. Like, honestly, kids could care less about the standards. They really could. I'm being honest with you. I teach 5th grade. I can tell you what, when I do my standards every single day, they're like, all right, cool, this is what we're learning. Like, why? It just it has changed a lot over the last 5 years, and I've been doing this for 12 years, and I have teachers that are veterans in my school who have been teaching for 30 years, and they're like, you think this has changed in 5 years? It's changed in the past 30 years, and it doesn't seem to be changing for the better. It just seems to be changing for the worse, and I just feel like we're looked upon now from administration less as educators and more as robots. It's the second that we figure something out, they change it. Like, literally, that's what happens every single year. We will spend hours upon hours upon hours getting trained in this program that is supposed to be the end-all be-all, and it's the best thing in the world, and 2 years later they decide it doesn't work, we're gonna do something new, and then we have to get trained all over again. And it's kind of just like the second we finish something and we get comfortable in it, it's changed. Or the second we finish something and we get comfortable in it, the day later they're like, oh, now we have to add this to your list as well. So those are my thoughts on it. When it comes to teaching and just being in the classroom with my students, educating, it is the best job and I love it. And sometimes I just want to lock my door for the entire day and not let anybody in, and I can just be with my students all day. It would be an ideal dream job, but that's just not the case. Let's switch our gears to something a little less intense. Are you planning on having more kids after this one? Our plan is to end with 2 kids. We don't have a plan to have any more kids after this baby. Only God knows, and only God knows what is going to happen in the future, but we have talked about our options for like future reference, if you get what I'm saying, whether or not I'm gonna get my tubes tied, whether or not Adam is going to get a vasectomy, whether or not we are going to go. I never want to go on birth control for the rest of my life. I hated the way that I felt on birth control, the pills, the birth control pills. I just absolutely hated being on birth control. So I actually brought this up with my midwife the other day, and we talked about some options like an IUI or IUD. I know nothing about this stuff, so I'm gonna probably say all of the names wrong, but we definitely talked about some options. And she had mentioned, which I didn't realize this, but because I'm 8 months pregnant, if I decide to go through with surgery as I'm delivering, they can just like tie your tubes. If I decide to go through with that, then I have to go meet with somebody within the next 2 weeks. I have to meet with a doctor, and I have to sign like a letter. I forget exactly what she called it, but like it's basically like a confidentiality letter, or no, that's not right. It's like a letter basically saying like, this is what I want to do, and because of insurance reasons, it has to be done at least 30 days before I deliver. So who knows, if I'm going to deliver early, I might be too late. But say I sign that paperwork and I have that meeting, and for some reason I go like 3 weeks early, it would void it and they wouldn't be able to do it in the hospital. Again, I may be saying that wrong, but that's the information that I gathered when I had my midwife appointment last Wednesday. So we are talking about our options. We originally wanted 3 kids, but we're at the point now where we're a little older. Like, I'm gonna be 34, Adam is going to be 36. We're just very comfortable. We feel awesome as parents right now with Landon. We're hoping to feel as awesome as parents with this next baby, and we hope that everybody just adjusts well and transitions well. And we really think that 2 is, well, we really know at this point, if it's up to us, 2 is the ideal number of kids for us. A lot of chords being struck in this video. The next question is, how are you feeling about YouTube's algorithm? I don't know. I just don't understand social media, to be quite honest with you. I have a lot of thoughts about YouTube, and I will try to condense it down into like one overall thought. And my overall thought is, I'm still enjoying doing YouTube, so I'm still going to continue doing YouTube. If you guys have been a long-time subscriber, it's kind of obvious, it's not like really a secret, that my channel where it is now is nothing like where it was before. And there's a reason for that. My channel blew up during the DIY phase, the DIY craze, the DIY era on YouTube. So that was like 3 years ago. There was this huge DIY boom in the YouTube sphere, in like the YouTube universe, and that is solely what my channel was all about at the time. I would do DIY crafts, DIY recipes, DIY this, DIY that, and my videos blew up. Like, my channel blew up kind of overnight. Almost every single one of my videos was getting 50 to 100,000 plus views. There was a time that like almost all of my videos were getting like 250,000 views per video. I have like countless videos on my channel that have like millions of views. And then if you look at like my most popular videos, I think there's like a way to do that on YouTube. It's just like 6.7 million, 4 point something million, 2 point something million, 900,000, 700,000. And like now I look at my videos and it's like 5,000, 7.5 thousand, 8,000, occasionally 10,000, which is really good for my channel now. And it really affected me at first, but I'm at the point now where I have just accepted it and I'm really enjoying YouTube. I think a lot of people who kind of like blew up in that DIY era are struggling now, because that era kind of ended on YouTube and people moved on to other things, which is completely fine. That's how the world works. Like, something is really popular at one time and then it's just not as popular anymore. That's just kind of how phases work. So I think my channel was super popular at one point, and now it's kind of just at a point where it doesn't really know where to be. I've actually considered taking my subscriber count off, because my subscriber count is like 450,000 subscribers, and my videos are getting like 5,000 views, which personally it did affect me before. I'm not gonna lie to you and say, oh, I don't care about it at all, I don't care about views. It did affect me for a good point, and I just couldn't figure out how to like revamp my channel, and I just felt like I was trying to be more like authentic on my channel and do vlogs and do this and do that, that is more like real rather than just like robotic. I feel like when I was doing those DIY videos, it was just very robotic. I loved those videos, don't get me wrong, but it was very, very robotic. I don't feel like I was being my true self. And now, skip forward like 3 years, I feel like I am being my true authentic self, and I'm loving the content that I am creating. I just don't really know how to like get it pushed out into the YouTube algorithm. So it did affect me, like I don't want to say decline of my channel, but yeah, I guess like the decline of my channel, it did affect me a lot, and it really like played tricks with my mind. And I'm just at a place now where I'm like really happy with the content that I am creating. And if given the opportunity on like a Saturday afternoon to like sit down, relax and watch a movie or film a video, I 9 out of 10 times pick filming a video. So that proves to me that I'm not ready to be done with YouTube, because there's still so much more that I want to share. But yeah, I don't know. I don't understand algorithm period for any social media. I feel like the second you understand it, it changes again. And that's just how the cookie crumbles. I mean, I guess I could talk a lot more about this, but I probably should have like planned it out so I'm not just rambling. But I'll end this clip with saying, I don't know, I really don't know how to get like views on this channel anymore, but the people who are watching my videos are being so supportive, and I'm just really enjoying like the authentic relationships that I'm creating with my subscribers now compared to before. I feel like it was all just very robotic. I just feel like I'm definitely more an authentic, raw, real version of myself in today's day and age versus when my channel was like blowing up. This next question: when is the nursery tour video dropping? Not triggering at all for me. I'm being so dramatic right now. I would love to know when the nursery video is going to drop, the nursery tour video. We have not even started the nursery yet. And old Allison would be super, super anxious about that. But weirdly, new Allison is kind of just like, when it gets done, it'll get done. I was at dinner yesterday with my husband, and we were just talking about like life in general, and he was like, I have to say, since having Landon, you have just like completely chilled out, and you think it would be the opposite way around. I am such a type A person, but I feel like since I had Landon, I have to agree with my husband, I feel like I've just like chilled out a little bit and calmed down a little bit. If you guys are new here, Adam and I both got COVID, and we were kind of out of commission for a solid month, so it definitely pushed us back a lot with the nursery. But I'm just at the point now where I'm like, it'll get done. Everything gets done. And if it doesn't get done before the baby is here, that is okay, because baby will be with us in the bassinet in our room for about 3 months, and we'll definitely have it done by the time baby needs to go into his or her crib. We're not finding out the gender. If you guys, again, are new here, we don't know the gender. It is going to be a surprise. So once he or she goes into the crib, it will definitely be done. We already ordered everything. It's actually just in our breezeway right now. We have our crib, we have our beer, we have everything. It just needs to be put together, and we just need a little bit of time. We knew we had a lot going on in October and November, so our goal was to work on it in September, and September was just not happening for us because we both got COVID and we were out of commission for like a solid month. Like we were out of commission for a solid month. So we have some days planned in the very near future to get all of this stuff done in the nursery. I can't wait to put it together. It is going to be a Winnie the Pooh themed nursery. I have all of these visions. We need some time, and it's kind of hard with working full time and then coming home with a toddler and also having like X, Y, and Z functions to go to. We had the baby moon this week, which we already pre-planned, and we didn't want to obviously cancel that because it's something we were super looking forward to. We have birthdays coming up, we have holidays coming up, we have this coming up, we have family events coming up, and we're just gonna have to try to say no to some of them and put the nursery kind of as like a top priority. But you know what? I'm very confident that it will get done before the baby gets here. And again, if it doesn't, it'll get done before the baby actually needs to utilize the room. But when it does get done, I will be filming a nursery tour and it will be uploaded to YouTube. And I am very much excited for it because my son's Toy Story themed nursery tour is one of my favorite videos I've ever filmed. And I have such a vision for this baby's nursery and I just can't wait to put it all together. I just need to like freeze time for maybe like 3 or 4 days and we can just get it all done. That's just all I need. I need a little button to say, time, just stop for a minute or a couple of days. Just let us get this done and then we can resume. Tips for mental health. I am going through a serious struggle right now. I am so sorry to hear, first and foremost, that you are going through a struggle right now. I feel like with this pandemic, so many people are going through a struggle and I just feel for all of you. I'm praying for all of you and I really hope that you are all able to make a very, very speedy recovery. When it comes to tips for mental health, I'm going to link a video in the description below. I will put the thumbnail right here so you can see exactly which video I am talking about. I filmed this video 3, maybe 4 years ago when I was going through my mental health struggle, and I feel like all the things that I talked about in that video still stand true today. Whenever I go through a funk in today's present day age, I still go back to those tips and tricks that I talked about in that video. I am very passionate about the things that I talked about in that video, so I will link that in the description below. But in short, some things that I do personally that work really well for me when I'm going through a funk. I love mindfulness meditation. In that video, I linked a YouTube video, the #1 YouTube video that I use for mindfulness meditation. I put that video on at night and I will just close my eyes and I will go through those steps, and that video has changed my life. I'm a huge believer in mindfulness meditation. I'm also a huge believer in exercise. So even if it is just getting yourself outside for a 10-minute walk, I'm not talking about like strenuous activities, because I can tell you, I feel you, when you are going through a mental health struggle, the last thing on your mind is doing like this intense workout. For me, I really had to force myself to go outside and go for a walk or go for a run. Even if it was just walking for a half hour, I felt like it really helped my mental health struggle so much. I'm also a huge believer in self-care, whatever that may be for you. For me, it is baking or crafting. Baking has always been just so therapeutic for me. So whenever I'm going through a funk, I tend to just go in the kitchen and I tend to look up a recipe and make something from scratch. I think like the art of creating is just so therapeutic for me. So those are like 3 of the top things that I like to do when I am in a funk. I like to do mindfulness meditation, exercise, or be creative in some sort. But in that video, I link a bunch of different resources and a bunch of different things that I do to kind of get myself feeling in a better mental state. I'm gonna look very unattractive, but I'm just feeling very uncomfortable sitting like this, so I just need to like open my legs right now. I apologize, this is highly unattractive right now, but I'm just kind of like feeling my body out and I'm just really uncomfortable and in a lot of pain. All right, let's move on to the next question. Tell us about your renovation plan. So I have been talking about this on Instagram, not too in depth because we don't have an actual plan in place, and our plan, if we actually go through with it, it is not going to happen for another like 2 or 3 years. So I don't think it's like even, there's like kind of no point in talking about it now. It's pretty pointless to be like, these are all the renovations we're gonna do when we're not even gonna start for like 2 or 3 years. So much can change, but our original goal was to build a house. We live in Rhode Island, and real estate in Rhode Island, I can't get comfortable. Real estate in Rhode Island is just, it is obnoxious. Real estate in New England, period, is just unbelievable. So basically we wanted to build a house and we looked at a bunch of different sites in Rhode Island, and just to buy the land is like $200,000, and then you have to guarantee them X amount of square footage, and each square footage is like X amount of dollars. So it will probably end up costing us about $400,000 to $500,000 just to build a house. That's with nothing included inside, like obviously like your appliances, but not like your bed and your couch and your this and your that. So when all is said and done, it would probably end up costing us like $700,000 to $800,000, and that's just not in the cards for us. It's just not financially feasible for us. So we have been going back and forth, and mind you, that is for building in the district and in the area that we want. I'm sure we could build elsewhere for cheaper, but we have a specific like area that we do want to live in, and we like the school district, and we like this about it, and we like that about it. So to do it there, it's gonna probably cost us like $700,000 to $800,000. It's just obviously not feasible for us. So we've been talking a lot lately about just like renovating our house. We already have the land, we like our area, we like our school district, we love our neighborhood. So we've been talking a lot lately about, instead of like pouring all of our savings and all of our money into building a house, maybe we will just pour it into renovating a house. It'll be a lot cheaper. It won't be so much of a financial burden for us, but we'll be able to like get all the things that we really want. So our goal right now is to take our house and like push it out. So in the backyard, like extend our house X amount of feet. We want to make our house a little bit taller. Where our garage is, we want to build on it so we can do another bedroom in there or another 2 bedrooms. And we want to just like pretty much remodel and redesign every single room in the house: bathroom, kitchen, bedrooms, basement, everything. We want to just remodel it. So I'll talk more about that if I'm still on YouTube in like 2 to 3 years when we decide to go forward with this, but that is the plan. We're both really, really excited about it. We watch a lot of like home renovation channels on like the Home Network, between like Chip and Joanna Gaines or those 2 twin brothers. We love that content, and we've just gotten like a lot of inspiration from it. And one day when we were watching, we were like, why don't we just renovate our house? Like, we love our area, we love our neighborhood, this is a great school district. Why don't we just renovate our house? And it's kind of been living on our mind ever since. Okay, just had to take my camera off of the tripod, change the battery. I just put it back on the tripod, and I'm going to see if I can get myself back in frame from where I was sitting previously. I think this is pretty similar to how I was sitting before I had to change my battery. Let's look at the next question. This next question, I'm just going to dive right on into it. Somebody asked me to address the COVID vaccination criticism. Do I want to do this? I'm gonna like do this in a dumbed down version because there's just so much that I could say about this, but I'm just not going to. But in short, I put up a video talking about my COVID experience, and I've been very open and very honest on all of my social media platforms that I am not vaccinated. I am not vaccinated. I am not anti-vaccination. I'm actually very pro-vaccine, and I do plan on getting this vaccine. I just was not comfortable getting it while I was trying to conceive and while I was pregnant. And the masses came for me in that video and followed it into Instagram, and I have just been receiving just really, really ugly criticism. And you are allowed to feel however you feel, and you are allowed to say whatever you want to say to me, and you are allowed to feel however you want to feel. But at the end of the day, this is my life, and this is my body, and this is my medical choice. I cannot tell you the amount of criticism that I received in that video, to the point that I had to delete some of the comments. And I rarely ever delete comments, like rarely ever, but some of them were so nasty and so aggressive and just ugly, to say the least, that I did delete them off of my channel. Not for the sole sense of like me reading them, which was tough enough, but for the sole sense that it was sparking these huge controversies and these huge arguments in the comments of my videos, and that is not what I want my channel to be at all. I am all for free speech, and I am all for people like feeling the way that they want to feel, but people were literally going at it with each other in the comments, and that is just very, very, very anxiety provoking for me. I don't like seeing people argue, and I definitely don't want that on my channel. So I ended up like limiting a lot of those comments that I received. But yes, I am not vaccinated. I plan on getting vaccinated almost immediately after I have this baby. Right now, I'm, knock on wood, lucky that I do have immunity now for hopefully 90 days. Again, I know science is not always like specific, and of course it's case by case, and maybe I won't have immunity, who knows. All I know is I'm being very, very safe. I have been very, very safe. Like, even before I had COVID, I was wearing masks in any public places. I'm wearing masks at work. I'm following like all of those protocols from the CDC. I'm being very, very safe. I just didn't feel comfortable, and I don't feel comfortable getting a vaccine that is so new when I was trying to conceive, as well as while I am pregnant. Some people got it right away. Some people don't want to get it at all, and you know what? It's their medical choice. I know that there are so many people who stand on very, very strong sides of this, and I don't want to get into that because it's really, I'm kind of ignorant to it. I don't know enough about it to really talk too much about it. I just know how I feel, and those comments were really hard to read. There were some comments that really, like, they were just really hard to read. I'll just put it that way. I could film like a whole video for this, and I probably should have like put some thoughts down because I am kind of rambling now, I feel. And I feel like I have so much that I want to say about this, but also don't want to like spark more controversy and more arguments and more this and that. I just hate how this pandemic has like really divided so many people. If I'm being honest with you, I feel like it has turned super political. I feel like everybody has their own opinion, which they're entitled to, but I feel like we're not always all respecting everybody's opinion. Like, if you're on one side of it, that is the way you feel, and anybody who doesn't feel the way that you feel is like the enemy, and vice versa. Whereas I'm in the position where, hey, you want to get vaccinated? Get vaccinated. I applaud you. You don't want to get vaccinated, you're not comfortable with it, I applaud you. It's your body, it's your choice, it's your medical choice. And I just think that the world as a whole, and I know how bad COVID is, like I'm not trying to like make light of it, but I also believe that we do live in America, and we do have medical freedom, we do have medical choice, we do have freedom over our bodies, we do have freedom of speech. We're allowed to do all of these things. But then if we talk any way that somebody doesn't agree with this on, it's like you're being attacked, which I personally don't agree with. So I felt like I did have to address this in this video because I've received like so many messages asking me to talk about it. And at the end of the day, I'm not vaccinated. I'm being very, very safe as I possibly can. I plan on getting vaccinated. I'm very pro-vaccine. It's just not something that I was comfortable with doing while I was trying to conceive and while I am pregnant. I don't know. I mean, I guess I could do like a whole video about this if you guys are interested, and I could really compile my thoughts. But I think no matter what side you land on, I think we just need to be respectful of each other's choices. Which double stroller did you end up going with? I have a couple of questions left. I'm going to answer this one and then one more. We ended up going with the Mockingbird double stroller. I was going back and forth with the Mockingbird and the UPPAbaby for months, and we decided to do the Mockingbird just for price point. Now, if I'm being very, very completely honest with you, I think the UPPAbaby is obviously the more superior choice, but the price tags were just so wildly different. For us to get everything for the UPPAbaby that we would need, it was going to end up costing us close to $1,500. What? Excuse me? It's just so expensive, and I do in my heart believe that it is the better of the two, but price point wise, we just could not justify that price, especially with everything else going on in our lives that we are trying to save for financially. It would have been something that could have possibly been a burden to us to get everything that we wanted for the UPPAbaby. Same thing for the Mockingbird. It was about $700 souped up, like soup to nuts. So for the Mockingbird, we got the single to double stroller, we got the extra second seat to turn it into the double stroller, we got the car seat adapter, we got the bassinet, We got the cup holder because none of these strollers come with a cup holder, which is mind-boggling to me. You are selling a stroller for parents who are obviously going to want a cup of coffee or a bottle of water, and none of these strollers come with cup holders. Like, you have to pay extra for a cup holder. It is insane to me. So we added on the cup holder, we added on the snack tray, we added on the seat liner to make it a little bit more comfortable for the child. So yeah, with all of those things, it was gonna cost, not going to cost, we already purchased it. It cost us $700. I think it was $697. So let's just say we'll round it up to $700. For UPPAbaby, all of those exact same things, it was gonna cost us $1,500. It was a no-brainer for us. I mean, does the Mockingbird have like a 30-day money-back guarantee? So once I get it in, I'm going to play with it around a lot. I'm gonna take Landon in the single stroller. I'm gonna add in the little adapter for the double stroller. We're gonna play around with all the different configurations that you can use, and I will kind of make my decision from there. Maybe we'll hate it and we send it back and we end up going with the UPPAbaby. I just think UPPAbaby is so expensive, and I know it's like the Cadillac of strollers. That's a lot of money. I think the thing with the UPPAbaby that kind of was like our end all, because we were really considering getting it, you can only use specific car seats for it, and we have a Britex Be Safe 35 that we've used for Landon and we plan on using for this baby, and it wasn't compatible with the UPPAbaby. So for the UPPAbaby, on top of the stroller and everything else we would have to buy, we would also have to buy a car seat, which was $349. So on top of everything we already had to spend, we would have had to spend another like close to $400 after taxes just on a car seat, and we already have a car seat at home, and it just didn't make sense for us. The Mockingbird stroller, I always want to say Mockingjay from Hunger Games, the Mockingbird stroller is compatible with the Britex, with Graco, with so many different car seats. You just have to buy the car seat adapter. So we picked the car seat adapter for the Britex Be Safe 35, and we should be good to go. So we ended up going with the Mockingbird. It is quite stylish. I love the way that it looks. I can't wait to use it with the bassinet. I'll play around with it a little bit once we get it, and I'll give you like a full review on how I feel, but I'm feeling pretty confident about it. Last question of today's video. Do you think you are taking on too many sponsorships? I would love to know how you guys feel about sponsorships. I know that there are two very divided sides when it comes to sponsorships. There's a side that is super supportive of them, and then there's a side that believes content creators are selling out when they take on too many sponsorships. My thoughts on sponsorships are as follows. If you are promoting a brand that you believe in, I don't think that is an issue at all. I think that it is a great way to get that brand's name out there, but it's also a great way for content creators to make a little extra cash. To be honest with you, all of the real money is in sponsorships. What I make off of like AdSense from YouTube is nothing compared to like what I make off of sponsorships, and I am so grateful for you guys for even allowing me to have sponsorships. I just think that if you are promoting something that you believe in, then it shouldn't really be an issue. With that being said, the answer to this question might shock you. Do I think I took on too many sponsorships this year? Yes, I actually do think I took on too many sponsorships, and not for the reason that you might think. I'm actually beyond grateful to have all of these sponsorship opportunities thrown my way. However, I'm feeling a little burnt out. So I was going through my sponsorship list the other day. I have a list on my phone of all of the sponsorships, like when they need to be integrated, and I just have like all the information for like tax purposes on my phone. And it is only October. The two busiest months for sponsorships are November and December. I haven't even included those. It is only October, and I'm already at 30 sponsorships for the year. And I am a full-time teacher and a full-time mom who is pregnant, and it kind of hit me the other day that I'm a little burnt out. This is not my full-time job. If this was something that I did full-time, I think 30 would be like pretty reasonable, but considering I have a full-time job, I'm a mother, I'm pregnant, I have other things going on, and I took on 30 sponsorships as of October, I'm very burnt out. I'm not gonna lie to you. I am quite burnt out, and I think that I took a little bit too much. I think I bit off a little bit more than I can chew. I'm so grateful for all the opportunities that I was given, but I definitely think I'm going to slow down in the next year, because now I will be a mother of 2 with a full-time job and also doing content creation on the side. So the sponsorships, even if I did like 100, if I wasn't burnt out, I don't think it would be too many, because I only work with brands that I believe in and work with brands that I actually use in my day-to-day life. However, I do feel like I took on a little too much, just given the circumstances of my life right now. So I think in 2022, who knows how I'm going to feel about it, but I think I'm going to slow down and not take on as much.